Hey guys, RageBarTV here, back with another video. Today I'll be showing you how to defeat all three bosses in Scarletwolf Lair on Overlord difficulty. So first off, you want to start this boss by marking one player and having them stack directly behind the boss with another marker showing where the tank is going to be standing. In this case, it's circle. The tank will face the boss away from the raid the whole fight. There'll be a stacking mechanic that goes out periodically throughout the fight, which is why you have one person marked. Everyone will stack on that person and avoid fire bombs from this firing squad that are coming from the sky. Please note that these bombs have a delayed reaction, meaning once the circle is gone, that's when the attack goes off, so it gives you a couple seconds to get out before the firing starts. Other than that, the boss is going to throw some blades off, which only go towards the tank, hence why we keep the tank faced away from the group, as well as the boss. And they'll come back to the boss, the tank just has to sidestep it. The other mechanic this boss is going to do is bring out some ads. The ads need to be killed as soon as possible. The first set of ads do not do a cast, but the second set of ads will. Please ensure your DPS interrupt these ads and move them out of the red bubbles that you'll see on the ground. They reduce healing and damage taken, while also increasing damage received. So please ensure that you're following that for this boss. Second boss, you'll want to ensure the tank has the boss faced away from the group at all times. Not only will this maximize DPS for the damage dealers, but it will also ensure that the boss's cleave does not hit the raid. Very important. The other ability this boss does is a fire meteor that will be dropped on the ground. Minimum one player must be standing in it before it hits the ground, or it will one-shot the raid, depending on which overlord you are on. It's always good to just start doing mechanics, regardless if it's a one-shot or not, just to help everybody out. The other mechanic the boss is going to do is a charge, which you are seeing now. The charge, just have to sidestep it, make sure you're not standing in it, and then when the boss runs back to the tank, ensure you are still standing to the sides, because immediately after, the boss will do a frontal cleave. The next ability the boss will do is an AoE, we call it the innie outie. So the first boss that's spawned until the boss hits a lower percent will only be an innie, meaning everyone needs to stay inside close to the boss and the outside is a dead zone. And then the following mechanic will be two meteors that need to be absorbed. So make sure that if you have the burning debuff on the left hand side of your screen, that you do not take the meteor, as that means you will be one shot if you decide to take a second one. What also you would want to watch out for is the shadow clones. After the 66% mark, the boss will spawn a shadow clone. This shadow clone copies all the mechanics of the boss, minus the innie outie, as you can see here. The shadow clone will spawn a ability that you need to get out of, where the main boss will spawn the ability that you need to get into, while still holding up all the fire meteors and making sure you're absorbing them. You also want to ensure that you're positioning yourself accordingly. As you can see here, I don't want to stand right in the middle of the meteor, as the boss was facing towards the circle and I would have been one shot by his cleave, which you will see right there, as my member did not pay attention and was hit by the cleave. This happens. There's revives for a reason. People make mistakes. It's not a big deal. Revive and move on. The next mechanic the boss is going to do is add another clone to the fight. So you'll have 3 clones by the end of the fight. And same thing, you want to make sure that the boss is tanked away from those clones, as the illusion will do a innie or an outie ability, and the main boss does an innie ability. So it's just about rotating through the meteors, keeping the boss faced away from the group, and as the boss does his charge, making sure there is no DPS or healer in the path back to the tank, as the boss will do a cleave immediately after that. That's about it for this boss. final boss of Scarletwolf Lair is a fun one. Just as all the other bosses, you want to ensure the boss is tanked away from the group at all times, as he does a frontal cleave, as you can see here. Next ability the boss is going to do is a stacking ability where he will target one member and that member needs to move away from the group. Ensure that you stay away from the group for the size of the circle, as if anyone is close to you, they will surely be one shot by this mechanic depending on the overlord, as you can see here. As soon as that is done, he will then do another frontal cleave, so ensure your positioning is correct, trying to stay behind the boss at all times. At a percent on the boss, he will then teleport to the middle of the map and proceed to spawn 3 artifacts. The one that is glowing purple on the screen and the words above its head is the artifact you need to follow, and ensure that you destroy the correct one once the artifacts stop moving, as you can see here. I personally like to follow it with my character. Other people follow it with their finger. It depends. I prefer this way. Then I stand in front of the correct one to ensure my group is killing the right one every time. Please note, if you fail to successfully find the correct artifact, the boss will do an AoE that is surely to one-shot you on higher overlord difficulties. The next ability is the anti-outie. Be very careful. As you can see here, the outer ability and the inner will come in at the same time, and then simply back out at the last second. Once the outer explodes, you move out of the inner, if that makes sense. They will immediately do a frontal clone after that, and continue to DPS the boss until the next artifact phase. He will still proceed to do a line ability throughout the fight, as you can see here, as well as the stacking ability that nobody can be close to. It's just a simple move out of the way mechanic. Remember, you only have to move just out of it to ensure you're not getting hit by it. It's all about positioning. As you can see, the boss is then stacking up, and he'll go back to the middle. The first time he does the artifact phase, there is only 3 artifacts. The second time, there is, I believe, 6 or 7. Just ensure that you are following it with your eyes or your finger or your character to ensure that you're not missing it, as this will surely wipe your group. As you can see here, we're following it and ensuring that we do not lose track of this artifact. Once the artifacts stop moving, I stand in front of the correct one. If you're a Necro or a class that can send a beam towards the correct one as a healer, it'll help out your group. As soon as the boss comes back, he's again going to do the blowback ability, and he'll knock everyone away from you. And then you'll proceed to get as close as you can to avoid the outer mechanic. Stand just on the inside, as you can see here. And as soon as the outer explodes, just backpedal out, and you should have more than enough time before the inner explodes. You could also teleport, as you'll see here, because he immediately does a frontal clone, and I want to make sure that I'm in the correct position. That is about it for this fight. The only other thing he is going to do is at 40%, he will transform into a wolf, and instead of the outer any outie ability, he will suck everyone in, and you have to back out and spread out as quick as possible, as the boss will then charge at each person and continue to do a frontal cleave. Please ensure the boss is faced away from the group for this. The line mechanic will still play a part, and at 25%, the boss will do one last artifact phase while the boss turns into a wolf. Also, please note the boss is immune to damage, as you can see on the screen. Do not use your damaged abilities until this has passed. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Thank you, and stay safe.